Everybody. Welcome to Joni Wilson and Roxy Rue, our little storytelling time here in Nashville, Tennessee, of my book series, The Dog Rescuers. And tonight we're doing book 2, chapter 5. And sometimes I like to get started and just kind of tell a couple little stories, since a lot of you guys were like, hey, tell us a little bit more about Roxy. Tell us a little bit more about Mojo, because quite frankly, I think these guys are a little bit of the star of the show, aren't they? So Roxy's only a year and a half. She's a puppy Maltese, and she's full of energy, and she's really, really talented. So she's going to learn agility, which means that she's going to learn to jump over things and through little tunnels and things like that. And you can actually do little competitions. And so that's something that Roxy and I are working towards as she gets a little bit older, though, so that her attention span is a little bit better. So Roxy is full of life. And as you can see, she is super cute. And she's got the wardrobe that rivals most women. I mean, it's pretty spectacular little wardrobe here. She does like to prance around a lot when she has a new little sweater on or a new little shirt. So Roxy is definitely the light of our life. She's fantastic. And of course, she shares the household with Mojo Wilson. Mojo is a Havanese, and he's only 8.5 pounds. He's 5, and he just had a knee surgery. So he's in the other room with his dad right now, just because he's like in a rehab scenario. What does that mean? That means he's got to rest his knees. So he gets a little rambunctious when Roxy and I are in here doing stuff. He likes to just jump around and play. He wants to be a part of it. In fact, I have a little video here of Mojo right now in his pen. And yeah, he's a pretty rambunctious little guy. There you go. There's Mojo. Rolling around, getting behind the ears. It's itchy. It's itchy. There you go. He likes rolling around. He's full of it. He's having fun. We just can't let him run and run because his surgery right now is actually taking, and he's got 5 more weeks of this. So we have to be really smart. And it's hard keeping a rambunctious little dog confined in a little penned area, but he's got it really good. We're spoiling him rotten, so no worries about that. And as we speak right now in Mojo's kennel, Apollo, who inspired the character Snowflake, the cat in the storyline, he's actually, right now, he snuck into Mojo's kennel. So he's like thinking he's going to sleep there tonight with Mojo. They're best buddies. I don't think I'm going to be able to let that happen, but that's what's going on there. So I like to share those little stories sometimes. The cool thing about Mojo is that Mojo has been trained to be a therapy dog. So I take Mojo into old age homes, like for folks that are now where they need nursing, okay, and things like that. And they absolutely love him. They call him Mr. Wilson. And so Mojo is a trained therapy dog, and that's what he does. And see how you rescue a dog and they end up rescuing us. That's the whole concept of this, right? The dog rescuers. That's what we're talking about. Purrfectly Unleashed is book 2. And of course, book 1 looks like this. So if you wanted to order them online, but you don't have to, because I'm also doing this for free nightly, just so that we have a lot of fun together. I'm really having fun. And from the response that I'm getting, it sounds like you're all having fun too, from all over the world too. So kids, if you're joining me right now, remember, you're actually watching this with kids that are in Germany, and kids that are in France, and kids that are in Great Britain, and kids that are in Canada, kids that are in Mexico, kids that are in Venezuela, kids that are in Brazil. So you are a part of a really big group of kids all around the world that are enjoying dogs and cats. Of course, don't let the dogs know I said that. So let's catch up, shall we? Last night, we got to the part where Romeo the bulldog, who has had an addiction to trash, has given up trash so that he can have a healthy lifestyle and not fart so much anymore. And that way he'll get more hugs and more love. So Romeo has made a pact with the other dogs in the yard that in order to get rescued, he also has to clean up his act. So he's gotten himself into a diet and exercise plan with Abby and Luke, the kids that are being trained as dog rescuers by the dogs that they're rescuing. Even though they don't know that's what's going on, they just think they're trying to find these dogs homes. But there's a much bigger plan. It's called the Plan B mode of operation, which is the master plan to find masters. And Kiddo is in the background still sending out messages with his mind, called telepathic messages, to all these other dogs in the area that also might need rescuing. So there's more coming. But we're going to finish up with Romeo first. Then I have a song to play you when we're finished, okay? So they're making a pact right now. Hey, buddy, if you're willing to do the work, we are willing to help you. So Zeus, Kiddo, Snowflake the cat, and Romeo, they're all in. That's where we ended up. Put my glasses on. Whew, definitely need these. Now what happened is Romeo went into Luke, Abby's next door neighbor who's helping Abby. He went into his garage and he found an old bike. And he thought to himself, this is kind of cool. So Luke got him on the bike right away just to see. And he was like, hey, take it easy. But Romeo took to the bike like that, like he's been doing it his whole life. So, oh my gosh, he's riding a bike every night to slim down. It's part of his diet and exercise plan. And as you can see, the neighbors are videoing on their iPhones. And guess what's happening? Well, we're about to find out. It's pretty exciting. So this is chapter 5, and it's called Going Viral. As the days turned into weeks and rain clouds turned into sunshine through all kinds of weather, Romeo kept riding his bike diligently. The neighbors looked on with awe. They had never seen a dog riding a bike before and got so excited that they started to videotape him on their phones. The videos went all over the internet for millions of people to see. Romeo went viral. With millions of people seeing Romeo, he became an internet star overnight. As he practiced in the cul-de-sac in front of Abby's house and Luke's house, the ping sound went off every 5 minutes on Luke's cell phone. It was an alert to watch the latest video of the biking bulldog, Romeo. Luke and Abby were struggling to pay for the Plan B mode of operation. Both had parents that worked hard to make ends meet, and they were struggling for money as new dogs were showing up out of the blue to Abby's yard to get rescued. You had to feed them. Let's face it, when you have a pet, there comes expense like vet bills, and you have to feed them. And, stuff like sweaters, like Roxy, and bows for her hair. These things cost. Right, Roxy? So they decided to charge $1 for every video taken of Romeo's practice. Kiddo and Zeus looked at each other with smiles. At the very least, these few dollars could buy a bag of dog food. So it kept them in business, right? Now the dog rescuers are off to a good start. They're following your master plan perfectly, said Zeus. You mean perfectly, interrupted Snowflake the cat. Zeus and Kiddo looked on with shock, and Kiddo quipped, is it my imagination, or did a cat just jump into our private doggy conversation? Zeus just shook his head and giggled as his little buddy Kiddo's sheer disgust with a cat in his presence. Ah, come on. He did add a mission to get Romeo healthy and coached him, Zeus said to Kiddo, trying to ease the tension. A mere thank you will suffice, said Snowflake as Kiddo stomped off in frustration. It takes some folks longer to accept change, said Zeus to Snowflake as they both took a seat under the shade tree. That night, back at Abby's yard, all of the dogs and Snowflake basked in the glow of the moon. Their bellies were full, and they felt a part of something special. Romeo's new diet and exercise plan was paying off. He was no longer farting randomly. They all thanked Romeo for his focus and efforts, learning how to ride a bike. And better yet, they lined up and gave him hugs. That's what he's wanted all along. Romeo was reduced to tears, but of joy. He had accomplished what his heart was desiring, but hadn't had enough strength to do it on his own until now. I couldn't have done it without you guys, including Abby, Luke, and even Snowflake. I was so alone in the dump, but now I have friends and a future. Kiddo stepped up onto the highest step at the back porch of Abby's house. He too was holding back the tears of joy and proudly gave a speech. Today we have learned until the very end, nothing is impossible when you're helped by a friend. He's up on the stoop. All the dogs and the cat Snowflake are hanging out. Snowflake's kind of growing on them, except Kiddo. He's never going to give in to a cat. I'm going to go slightly into chapter 6 because it's a long chapter. So we'll finish it tomorrow night, okay? So chapter 6 is The Dog with No Hair. This dog has no hair except on the top of her head and at her paws. She has a beautiful pearl collar. So what's up with this? Is she a dog? Who knows? So when Chanel showed up at the house, at the home of Abby, the dog rescuer, no one could figure out why she would even need to be rescued. She walked past them tall and proud with her snout in the air. She had a swagger that oozed with confidence, and Kiddo looked at her in awe and said, "She wears a very expensive pearl collar. The hair on her head is from the beauty parlor." No one knew what she was. All she had was her hair on her paws and on her head. The rest of her was hairless. Perhaps she was a different kind of exotic animal. When Abby and Luke got home from school and saw their new wanderer in Abby's yard, they were just confused. I wish they could talk and tell us what they're thinking. All we are left to do is to just get out the dog Bible, which is the encyclopedia of dogs. Maybe we can figure out what she is, Abby said as they ran into the house to fetch the book. Here they are. All of them now are just looking at this new creature that's come into the yard. And they're not quite sure what she is. There's Zeus. There's Kiddo. There's Abby. There's Luke. There's Romeo. And now the hairless dog. In the meantime, Kiddo piped up. Maybe she's a fox or a squirrel. Either way, she's a funny-looking girl. Zeus, on the other hand, didn't care what she was. She was the prettiest thing he had ever seen. Right, Roxy Roo? Just like little Roo. She's the prettiest thing we've ever seen, too. And Zeus, he was so tongue-tied he couldn't even speak. Kiddo noticed that Zeus was obviously under her spell. He popped out from under Zeus's drooling presence and introduced himself. "Well, hello, whatever you are. You seem to come in peace. Since you got my secret messages I send out with my mind, too. Dogs lost and confused, sad and abused, so they too can come and get rescued." They all waited anxiously for a reply. It was so still you could even hear the worms in the grass. Then she finally replied, "Bonjour, mon ami." Zeus cried out, "Holy macaroni! She speaks French." She held out her paw for Zeus to kiss it. Kiddo jumped right in the middle of the action and shook her paw instead. He replied in broken English, let's start with hello, him, Zeus, him, Romeo, and that cat who won't leave is Snowflake, and I'm the fearless leader here, Kiddo. The humans are Abby and Luke, so basically, have no fear. I have trained them to rescue you without them realizing it. There you go. As you can see, Zeus has hearts in his eyes. He just thinks she's pretty. And he's drooling all over Kiddo. And Kiddo insists that he's the first one these dogs meet. So he's going to sneak right in there and make sure that he's the greeter. He's the guy, right? He's the leader. So he thinks. All of a sudden, in her French accent, she piped up in English. I speak 10 languages fluently. I understand what you've said. I am Chanel, a designer dog, a purebred Chinese crested. I knew she was a dog, said Zeus. No, you were hoping she was a dog, said Romeo, as he gave the big boy a half smile. Snowflake said to Kiddo, are you going to tell her not to rhyme like you did to me? Kiddo looked at the cat in the eyes and said, she's a lot cuter than you, and she is the same species, so I might let it slide. He looked back at Chanel, a bit confused as to why she too was rhyming. Snowflake slowly meandered up to Chanel. As he sat and touched her with his tail, he was suspicious and asked, everyone here is looking to get rescued, so what's your story? I haven't seen you around, and I get around. She petted the cat gently and said in her French accent, mon chat, I would expect questions from the dogs, but you and me, we are alike. We don't need to be rescued. Snowflake wasn't sure what to make of this new and interesting dog that showed up out of nowhere. Perhaps she was hiding something. Zeus piped up in Chanel's defense. After all, she is wearing a pearl collar, and dogs sporting a fancy collar typically don't need to be rescued. Snowflake was much more inquisitive, like cats are. He wasn't as trusting as the dogs were. He had seen more in life while living on the streets and fending for himself. So he probed a little further. Everybody needs somebody at some point. Only those running from the law want to be alone. Are you running from the law? He said. No, I'm not running from the law, the female dog barked out in a French accent. I am just a mystery. I am just misunderstood. No one knows what to do and what I am, and when they see me. So before you make fun of me because I have no hair, I say to all of you, talk to the pa. And don't hate me because I'm beautiful, she confidently replied. I'm going to leave it there, and then we'll finish up this chapter tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central, right here in Nashville. So if you can't watch it live, make sure you just go back on my Facebook page. I'm going to save everything. And you can also go on the Dog Rescuers Facebook page at the Dog Rescuers Online, right on Facebook. And you can see everything there too. And all you have to do is push like. And you get to see a lot of cool dog stories and things like that too. Now, I have promised you that I was going to play you a song tonight, okay? And let's get it, shall we? All you have to do, by the way, if you want to hear the songs, all you have to do is go on the dogrescuers.net, okay? And you're going to see all of the songs listed there. And this one's called Wrapped Around Her Paw. It's Zeus's song. Oops, I hope it'll play. Ooh, I might have to put on this one, sorry. Oh, there we go. Here it goes.
I've always been considered an independent thinker. I know how to keep these darn sheep in line. I'm not one to sway, it's in my DNA. Keep this whole farm running right on time. I was headstrong, I did whatever I want. But that all changed the day she came along. Now I'm wrapped around her paw. Proud as a pup, they can say what they want. Every time she walks by, I get all tongue-tied, but I like it, y'all. Yeah, I'm wrapped around her paw.
You can hear the rest of the song online. I'll see you guys later, okay? So with Roxy Roo, who's already going to sleep. Have a good night's sleep. Okay, we'll see you again tomorrow night. Same place, same time, right, Roxy Boo? Oh, she's so tired. Good night. And remember, we're making the world better one dog at a time at the Dog Rescuers. And peace.